I was looking at the numbers this morning, and honestly, it's kind of terrifying.
Oh, the streaming volume numbers.
Yeah. Depending on which report you're reading, there are something like 100,000 new songs uploaded to streaming platforms every single day.
It's a flood. I mean, it is an absolute ocean of content.
Right. And yet, despite that flood, despite having literally millions of options right there on our phones, the entire world spent last summer listening to, the exact same album.
The Barbie soundtrack.
Exactly, the Barbie album.
And that right there is the paradox we're looking at today. It's like, how do you engineer this massive global monoculture moment where everyone is suddenly on the same page?
Especially in an era where the audience is more fragmented than ever, it feels like a magic trick, honestly.
It really does. But as we dug into the sources for this deep dive, it became pretty clear that it wasn't magic at all. It was machinery.
Precision machinery. So today is really a tale of two music industries. First, we have the dream house, right? The high-budget, meticulously curated world of the Barbie album. We're going to look at the specific decisions that made that hit happen.
And I think this is the part that's really going to change how you look at your own streaming apps. We're going to step outside that dream house.
Yeah, into the real world.
Right. We're going to look at the reality of the broader music business, the consolidation of the major labels, the brutal economics of streaming, and why being an independent artist today is, statistically speaking, almost impossible.
To put this all together, we are drawing on production notes from Rolling Stone and Grammy.com, financial market reports from Grand View Research, status reports from the IFPI, and some really heated debates from music industry communities on Reddit.
Our mission today is to understand that tension. The tension between those highly curated blockbuster moments and the chaotic ocean of content in the modern streaming era.
So let's start with the shiny stuff. Let's talk about Barbie, because usually movie soundtracks they're fine.
They're background noise.
Right, they're utilitarian. But this was completely different.
It was. And it started with a very specific vision from the director, Greta Gerwig. She didn't want a traditional score that just sat underneath the dialogue. She wanted a disco-infused emotional landscape. She wanted the music to drive the narrative.
I actually found the origin story of this so funny because it's just so low-tech.
Oh, the text message.
Yeah. So Mark Ronson, who is this, legendary producer, he gets a text from the music supervisor, George Drakoulias, and it wasn't this formal offer from a studio.
No contract, no pitch deck.
Literally just one word, Barbie, with a question mark.
And Ronson's reaction is so telling. He said, and I quote, "If I don't get this gig, this is going to be my favorite movie of the year."
He was sold immediately.
Completely. But the strategy Gerwig handed him when they actually sat down was fascinating. She gave him a playlist of what she called guilty pleasure music and Peloton pop.
Peloton pop. I mean, I love that term, but I also kind of hate it. What does that actually mean from a production standpoint?
Well, according to the Rolling Stone notes, it means high energy, slightly nostalgic, disco-infused music. Think Andrea True Connection or Xanadu.
Okay, right.
It's music that makes you want to move, obviously, but it has this glossy, almost artificial sheen to it.
Which fits the plastic world of Barbie perfectly.
Exactly. But here is where the machinery we mentioned really kicks in. They didn't just license a bunch of old 70s disco songs.
No, they built new ones entirely from scratch. And the story behind Dance the Night with Dua Lipa actually stressed me out just reading about it.
Oh, it was a massive high-wire act. Ronson and his co-producer, Andrew Wyatt, had to write the beat for the main dance number in the film before any lyrics even existed.
Wait, and before the scene was shot?
Even riskier than that. The cast was actively rehearsing the choreography to an instrumental loop that Ronson made.
So imagine the pressure there.
Right. You have Margot Robbie and this massive cast learning complex. Synchronized dance moves to a very specific tempo and rhythm.
If you change the tempo later, or if the singer you eventually hire wants to change the vibe, you've ruined the scene.
You literally can't reshoot a massive Hollywood dance number just because the song changed in the studio.
So Ronson effectively locked himself into a box. He had to find an artist who could fit perfectly into that pre-existing rigid structure.
Exactly. And that's when he reached out to Dua Lipa. Just slid into her DMs, as one does.
As one does when you're Mark Ronson.
Right. But his pitch wasn't just, hey, give us a song. It was, we have this exact beat, we have this specific scene, and we need you to inhabit this exact mood.
Which brings up a term the production notes kept using, the wish list approach.
Yes.
Usually soundtracks are just record labels dumping whatever B-sides their artists have lying around just to rack up some easy streams. But this felt much more like, like casting.
perfect word for it, sonic casting. Ronson and Gerwig were showing raw scenes to artists like Haim and Carol G. They were literally saying, look at the emotion on screen right here. Write a song for this specific feeling.
It's bespoke creation, not just a compilation.
Right, it's tailoring the music to the film's DNA.
Okay, but we have to talk about the business side of this too. Specifically, the Aqua controversy. Because this is where I get a little cynical about the whole machine.
Now the Barbie girl saga.
Yeah. If you know your 90s pop culture history, you know Mattel, the company that owns Barbie, absolutely hated that song.
They despised it. The sources detail how Mattel sued MCA Records over it. They claimed trademark infringement and said the song turned Barbie into a blonde bimbo.
It was a bitter, bitter legal battle. It went all the way up the chain.
It reached the Supreme Court, and the court famously dismissed it with the incredible line, the parties are advised to chill.
Best legal ruling ever.
Truly.
But fast forward to 2023, and suddenly that exact song is the centerpiece of the entire movie's marketing campaign. They remix it with Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice. Is that just, water under the bridge, or is it desperation?
I think it's pure pragmatism. According to the production notes, Aqua's manager originally said the song wouldn't be in the movie. But Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie knew you couldn't make a Barbie movie without acknowledging that song.
The audience would have felt cheated.
They would have revolted. It would have felt like the movie was taking itself way too seriously. Gerwig promised Margot she would weave it in a cool way.
So Mattel basically had to swallow their pride to sell movie tickets.
Essentially, yes. But look at the execution. They didn't just slap the 1997 track on the album, they repackaged it for today. They brought in Nicki Minaj, whose entire fan base is literally called the Barbs.
Right.
And they brought in Ice Spice to capture that crucial Gen Z demographic. It was a masterclass in modern pop packaging.
And again, the hustle required from the producers is crazy. There's this image in the Rolling Stone piece of Mark Ronson biking to the studio after midnight to record Ice Spice's verses.
Yeah, because that was the only time she was free.
And he's complaining about getting ready for bed like an old man. It just shows that even at the very top of the industry, it's still chasing talent.
Absolutely. But honestly, I think what truly made the album stick, what actually won it, the Grammy for Best Compilation Soundtrack, wasn't just the marketing or the star power.
What was it?
It was the emotional architecture. You had these massive hot girl anthems like Charlie XCX's Speed Drive, right? But then you balanced it with genuine raw emotion from artists like Billie Eilish.
What was I made for?
Yes. The Grammy notes highlight that Billie wrote that song during a massive period of self-doubt. She and her brother Phineas felt like they'd completely lost their creative spark.
Had a writer's block.
Severe writer's block. But seeing the rough footage of Barbie having this existential crisis, it just pulled that song right out of them. It gave the whole plastic project a real human soul.
So you look at that and it's this perfect storm. You have a massive budget, bespoke production, incredible marketing, legacy IP, and genuine emotional depth. It is the absolute dream house of the music industry.
It is the absolute pinnacle of what the major label system can produce when everything aligns.
But most artists do not live in the dream house.
No, they live out in the cold. Or, more accurately, they're lost at sea.
Let's pivot to the reality of the industry. We talked about how effortless the Barbie album felt to listen to. But when you look at the structure of the music industry today, based on the Reddit debates and market reports we reviewed, it feels incredibly rigid.
Rigid and surprisingly small at the top. Not in terms of revenue, but in terms of power. If you go back to the 1990s, the sources point out there were 6 major music conglomerates.
The big 6.
Right. Today, they're just 3. Universal, Sony, and Warner.
And honestly, for you listening right now, opening up your Spotify app, that probably doesn't feel real. Because when you look at track credits, you see a million different record label names.
Interscope, Republic, Atlantic, Elektra.
Exactly. It looks like this massive, diverse ecosystem of independent companies.
But that's the illusion of choice. All those names you just listed, they are just sub-brands. They are tentacles attached to the same 3 corporate bodies.
The Reddit communities point back to the 2004 Sony BMG merger as a huge turning point.
And the 2012 sale of EMI. It's like walking down the cereal aisle at the grocery store. You see 50 different colorful boxes, but then you realize almost all of them are made by the same 2 massive food corporations.
So why does that matter to the average listener? I mean, if the music is good, who cares if it's all ultimately owned by Sony or Universal?
Because of risk aversion. The argument made in these industry discussions is that when you have an oligopoly, which is what the big 3 essentially is, the incentive to take creative risks vanishes.
They want a sure thing.
Right. You don't need to find the next weird experimental indie band that might eventually change culture, but will only sell 5,000 records this year. You need stock market friendly hits. You need Barbie.
So the system is designed to replicate past success, not to innovate.
Precisely. And this leads to a concept that came up in the Reddit threads, which I think is one of the most vital takeaways from this entire deep dive. The distinction between court music and surf music.
This analogy blew my mind when I read it. Break this down.
So imagine the music industry as a medieval kingdom.
Okay.
The Barbie album is court music. It is commissioned directly by the ruling class, the major labels. It has the full, unlimited resources of the treasury backing it. It's polished, it's safe, and it's aggressively pushed into the town square for the masses to consume.
And the surfs?
The serfs are everyone else. The independent artists putting their hearts onto Bandcamp, SoundCloud, or the deep, uncurated corners of Spotify. It's this beautifully democratized space where anyone can make art.
But the serfs live outside the castle walls.
Exactly. And the walls are higher than ever.
Which is wild because the narrative we always hear is that streaming democratized everything. The gates are open, anyone can upload a song now.
And they do. But let's look at the economics of streaming from the Grandview research data. The market is massive.
Yeah, they valued the global music streaming market at nearly $46 billion in 2024.
And it's projected to hit around $108 billion by 2030. That growth is being driven almost entirely by smartphone adoption and people moving from free tiers to premium subscription models.
So there's a ton of money in the system. And services like DistroKid make it incredibly cheap to actually get your music on the platforms. The Reddit users were talking about how it's like $30 a year.
Right. For the price of a few cups of coffee, you can upload unlimited songs to Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. That sounds like total artistic freedom.
But here is the DistroKid math that the community broke down, and it is honestly pretty depressing.
It's the volume problem. The IFPI report states there are more than 1 million tracks being released every single week.
1 million tracks a week. So if you are a surf uploading your acoustic song from your bedroom, you are quite literally a drop of water in an ocean.
Without a marketing machine, without the court backing you, how does anyone even know your song exists?
You're just yelling into the void.
And this validates what some industry defenders call the need for a filter. They bring up Sturgeon's Law, which basically states that 90% of everything is crap.
So the argument is we need the major labels to sift through the 1 million tracks a week and give us the 10% that's actually listenable.
That's the label's justification for their existence, yes. With that much volume, curation becomes the single most valuable asset in the industry. The middle class of music, those working indie bands, is either shrinking or just moving entirely to self-publishing and hoping they get lucky.
Okay, but who is actually doing the filtering now? Because I feel like I discover independent music on streaming playlists all the time.
Do you?
Well, yeah. I'll find a playlist called Chill Indie Vibes or Bedroom Pop Discovery. And it feels completely organic. It feels like some music nerd just put it together.
And that is the trick. This was the part of the Reddit research that actually made me angry.
Go on.
Many of those independent-looking playlist brands, names like Popsify or Digster, they're actually owned and operated by the major labels themselves.
Wait, really? So Digster is just Universal Music?
Very often, yes. They are marketing funnels, disguised as grassroots discovery engines.
That is wild.
The court has realized that people want to feel like they are discovering something underground. So they dress up as serfs, they create these curated environments that look organic, but they're just pushing their own signed artists.
So it's basically payola, but entirely legal because you own the radio station.
Effectively. And it means that even in this supposedly democratized world of streaming, the major labels are still the ones directing the traffic.
So if the human curators are compromised, what about the algorithms? Because I rely heavily on things like Discover Weekly. That's just raw math, right? The computer doesn't care if an artist is signed to Warner or if they recorded it in their closet.
The computer doesn't care about labels, no. But the algorithm is the new gatekeeper, and it only cares about engagement.
Right.
Grandview research notes that AI is revolutionizing recommendations. The AI creates these highly personalized music experiences. But its only goal is to keep you subscribed to the platform.
So it just feeds you what it already knows you will like. If I listen to Peloton Pop, it just serves me more Peloton Pop.
Exactly. It creates a massive echo chamber. It might not ever challenge you with something difficult or abrasive or truly new.
And this brings us right back to Barbie. If we are all stuck in our own algorithmic bubbles, listening to our own hyper-personalized soundtracks, can we ever have a shared cultural moment again?
That is the big fear. Barbie might be an outlier, a rare moment where the marketing spend was so astronomically high, it forced everyone to look up from their phones at the exact same time.
But broadly speaking, the monoculture is dying.
It's fracturing. And the future trends outlined in these reports look even more complicated, because streaming isn't just about the audio tracks anymore.
Right, there's a massive push for diversification. Streaming platforms are pushing podcasts, immersive experiences, and especially live streaming.
Live streaming is the fastest growing segment in the market right now. It's projected to see 16% growth. And what that means for artists is they can't just be musicians anymore.
They have to be full-time content creators.
You have to be on Twitch, you have to be dancing on TikTok, you have to be constantly accessible.
Which sounds completely exhausting.
It's a recipe for severe burnout. But there is a bigger technological wave crashing down that makes all of this look minor.
Generative AI.
Yes. The IFPI report, which represents the global recording industry, they had some very strong, very urgent words about this.
They sounded genuinely scared.
They are threatened, and frankly, they should be. We are at a point where AI can not only curate the playlist, it can generate the actual music to put on it.
We're already seeing the beginnings of this with Amazon Music's Maestro tool, right? Where you type in a prompt and the AI generates a custom playlist for you.
Yes.
But how far away are we really from saying, hey, generate a song that sounds exactly like Dua Lipa but isn't Dua Lipa?
We are practically there right now, and this is going to be the central legal battlefield of the next decade. The IFPI notes that there is a real and present threat of AI companies ingesting copyrighted music.
Training their models on Mark Ronson's beats.
Exactly. Training models on decades of human art without permission and without paying a dime.
It's the ultimate surf move, right? The robots are storming the castle and stealing the court's jewels.
That's one way to look at it. But the labels are also trying to play both sides. The report highlights that labels want to use AI to enhance creativity. They want to use it to clean up vocals, isolate tracks, speed up production.
They want the efficiency of the machine, they just don't want to be replaced by it.
Precisely.
It really feels like we are standing at this crazy crossroads. On one side, you have the Barbie model. It's human, it's incredibly high effort. It involves Mark Ronson flying around the world, building relationships, stressing out over the tempo of a kick drum so Margot Robbie can dance to it.
It's expensive, it's messy, but it has a soul.
Right. And on the other side, you have this infinite automated ocean, 1 million tracks a week, algorithms deciding what you hear, fake indie playlists owned by corporations, and AI potentially generating the tracks to fill the silence.
A completely split world.
So here is the question I want to leave you with today. Something to mull over the next time you put your headphones on. If the industry continues down this path, if the volume just keeps increasing and the AI keeps getting more advanced, are we heading toward a future where human superstars become rare relics?
Will human-made become a premium label?
Exactly. Will we eventually pay extra just to know that a real person with real flaws and real creative blocks actually wrote the song we're listening to?
Or will the sheer deafening noise of AI-generated music make human curation more valuable than it has ever been in history?
It's a battle between human curation and machine automation. And right now, it is really too close to call.
It really is.
Well, thanks for taking this dive with us.
See you next time.